I don't believe that the job of a person is what constitutes the individual. That you do your job, and you may love it, or you may be indifferent to it, but that isn't you, it's part of you. You have your lovers, and you have your hobbies, and you have your other interests. And it's the totality of you that makes up the individual. The different thing is that if you use that which you can do to another end, then it magnifies your own experience. And when all this game is over, maybe the last coherent thought that you're able to think, and certainly the one I hope that I think is, that was interesting. And I think I've been asked to do this because of the theme of what you've been talking about, that the individual can make a difference. I think the name they came up with was the ultimate you. Well, the ultimate you is whatever you are, and it's the totality of that thing that makes you what you are. And the individual making a difference, what AstraZeneca want is you as the employee apply yourself to the job at hand. And in so doing, you're not only great at that job, you benefit the company, yourself, and those people who depend on the things you make. And that is perfectly valid and reasonable in the employer-employee relationship. But outside of that, it cannot be the sum total of an individual's life. Where the individual made a difference was at Live Aid. And that was the absolute proof that the individual, not me, is not powerless in the face of monstrous human crimes. That was that. It was the proof of that very simple proposition. And one of the great disconnects between Europe and Africa is the different way we developed. And we developed basically on a proposition of individualism. But the paradox of individualism is that it only works when we act in concert for the common good. And I suppose that's a definition of what, again, you guys do. You act together for the common good. Given that us lot developed an excellent way of living for ourselves, individualism, and given that in the American dollar, I think in the state seals, it says a pluribus unum, in one, the many. And that's where it's at. And that's what you do. And the individual does make a difference. Together, thinking consciously as a coherent individual, me, I'm going to agree to this proposition or I'm going to reject it. And anyway, what's this whole thing about life about? What is it? What is this stuff? Now, I know that there are many people here who have a religious understanding of life, and yet I don't, but I mean, we would probably agree that one of the ways of looking at it is to work out what's this stuff for? What does this thing do? What does it do? You know, what does this conscious identity, Bob, Paul, Jean, Mary, what do they do? What can this thing do? Life is an experiment. Tiny fraction of time that you will exist as a conscious identity. Tiny, gone. So what can it do? What's this great game we're engaged in? What's this thing for? And it seems to me that I can do more than some people and less than others. But the game must be pushing that conscious identity, Bob, Steve, John, Mary, whatever, pushing it right to its limit. Right to its limit. Because what's the point? It's not going to come again. Maybe you'll recognize this. And it goes to my argument that all change comes first from a commitment of the self, from the individual. From the individual being able to make a difference. You require this commitment. It's from a guy called W.H. Murray, who I thought was possibly some Scottish 19th century educationalist or something. Turns out he was a mountaineer in the 1920s. Doesn't diminish what he has to say. Let me tell you what it is. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always in effectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, providence moves too. And all sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favour all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. And Murray ends with a great quote from the German poet Goethe. Goethe says, "Whatever you can do, or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it." And that's true. Thanks very much.